Tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 p.m. UK time, we have our third London derby in a row as we take on our little bros, our little brothers in Fulham. Now, Fulham recorded some of their highest point tallies in their history last season, and they showcase why they're one of the most difficult, well-respected teams in this country. They gave us two of our hardest games last season. This same home game last season, we lost 2-1. We lost the game in the final 10 minutes with Rodrigo Muniz scoring in the 90th plus 4th minute to secure the 3 points for Fulham. We took the game back to Craven Cottage, and if it wasn't for heroics from Tyree George with his incredible equaliser and Pedro Neto with his stupendous finish, yet again, we might not have recorded anything against Fulham. So even though we got form on our side, we got excitement on our side, we hammered West Ham, put 5 on their heads. We saw performances from Esteval, Joao Pedro, and a lot more. There's a lot to feel excited for. There's a feel-good vibe that we can still feel right now, but we can't get too complacent or too cocky against this type of team tomorrow in Fulham under their manager, who are a very difficult and tricky opponent to face, my friends. Without Cole Palmer to turn to, there's going to be an opportunity for some of these guys now to really stake their claims and get Enzo Maresca to take them a bit more serious this season. I'm sure Maresca would have been pleased that we could still bag 5 goals without Palmer's influence in the game. So it'll be a really big test for everyone tomorrow to ensure that we can get our first 3 points at home against our little bros. So my friends, you know what to expect, man. It's the preview. I'll go through the predicted lineup. I'll go through the key points from the press conference, plus a lot more. Very quickly, though, before I move on, make sure you guys catch today's big breaking news behind who we're signing to replace Xavi Simons. And on my new channel, I've released the second episode of what we learned this week in the Premier League. It came out a bit later than I expected, but it's going to be a consistent thing that I do throughout the season. And I'd love to get you guys to support. So hit the link in the card above or description. So let's discuss team news first, my friends, and apologies if I'm still sounding a bit mad. This flu, man. Like, I would rather take physical pain compared to being ill. Like, I don't know if you guys can relate to that, if you guys agree with it, but I just hate feeling ill, man. But anyway, let's go to team news. We learned, don't expect to see Cole Palmer. His situation's not crazy. I think he'll be back after the international break. There's a reason why he didn't go to the England squad, so he can be well rested. But also, don't expect to see Badiashile, and don't expect to see Romeo Lavia either. So without Cole Palmer, are we going to see some interesting changes made in this team? Well, here's the lineup I'm going for on screen. Up front, I've gone for Liam Delap. Behind him, Joao Pedro playing the 10 role. Supporting him, Neto on the left, Esteval right side. Enzo Caicedo and a defense of Cuckoo, Tosin Jalaba, Reece James, and Sanchez in goal. Sanchez explains himself, but moving on to the defense, Reece James, I see maybe inverting in midfield a bit more. I think that could be a great use for him. I've really been pleased with his creativity he's showing on the ball. I feel like he's really growing accustomed to this inverted role even more, and it could add even more longevity to his career because this guy is a complete all-round football player. So I am expecting Reece James to invert, which allows us to have that back three of Cuckoo spreading wide left, Tosin behind, and Jalaba on the right-hand side. I see that being the defense. I don't think Fofana is ready yet to be tested against Fulham. I don't know. I just felt like he looks a bit raw against West Ham. I understand he's been out for a long time. You need to have some patience. But I don't think Fulham's the type of game you just throw him into the limelight. I think after international break, that's when you can maybe start having more stronger considerations about using him in these lineups. But I think that's our best defense at the moment. Midfield won't be changing anytime soon unless, God forbid, touchwoods, an injury happened to any one of them. But it will be Enzo and it will be Caicedo. I think Caicedo was phenomenal against West Ham. Underrated. We're getting so accustomed to his performances that we're making that mistake we made with Kante, where you're not even praising it as much as you could. If it was Hazard who has a skill on the ball, it's a lot easier, of course, to, give that adoration. But I think for Caicedo, I think this guy really is our key player in the team right now. And I don't think we look the same without him. So Moises, of course, he'll be in the lineup. And up front, this is how I'm seeing things. Originally, there was a lineup where I even had Joao Pedro up front, Esteval playing as a 10, Neto right side and Gittins on the left. Because my thinking was maybe targeting Fulham's fullbacks, stopping them from getting forwards with like proper pace and behinds. That could be like a really interesting thing to have, especially with that dribbling, carrying threat of Esteval that could kind of just pick up the ball in certain situations, combine when he wants to, and have that freedom to play across the lines. But I just feel like maybe we're not ready for that just yet. And I thought Neto was quite decent against West Ham last week. So I think Neto on the left-hand side, even though it might not be his favourite position because he likes to play on the right-hand side. And Maresca has said a lot of times the right-hand side is Neto's best position. So food for thought, my guys, food for thought. But I think in the moment, we keep the same team we used against West Ham. Joao Pedro playing as the 10 offers a lot of differences compared to Cole Palmer. If you guys watch my 5 Things Learned video, you might get bored by what I'm about to say. But having Joao Pedro playing the touch and pass, touch and go role, it did create kind of new, unique opportunities against West Ham compared to having maybe like Cole Palmer's measured type of playmaking on the ball where things aren't necessarily slowed down, but obviously, he is on the ball a bit more and he does have a few more touches compared to a Joao Pedro who had less than 30 touches, but had 2 assists, 1 goal, and was constantly just wasting no time on the ball. Everything was like basically the first touch. Everything was playing someone in. Everything was dynamic. And I think he really complemented having that type of play style when you're playing off of a Liam Delap who, I think he could be a really unique player to have. I can see him pinning back Anderson. And I think maybe an interesting way where we could find solutions against teams that we know are going to come to protect the blocks, be tactical, restrict us, frustrate us. Having someone that can also pin back a centre-back, try and take them out the game, whilst also being a platform where the attacking players can combine off of. I think it worked beautifully against West Ham. And I think it could work quite well against Fulham on Sunday too. And I think having those types of touch and go pacey players in behind the Liam Delap, that could definitely be an exciting type of path that we take for our home game on Sunday. So that is my predicted lineup. Share your thoughts and opinions below, my friends. Let's now go to the key talking points from the press conference. And Maresca was asked about Garnacho. As we know, he's completed his medical. And imagine he gets announced in front of the fans tomorrow at home, most likely. But as always, Maresca remained quite coy. Doesn't know where Garnacho is, but he confirmed one thing, that he sees Garnacho as a winger, which is kind of obvious, right? He's not going to play in goal. So at least we have that confirmation out the way. In terms of transfer activity, though, obviously that's the key thing right now. And, Maresca, when asked about how happy he is with the squad, he said last year he was happy. It's the same feeling this year. The squad is only getting better and better at the moment. I hear what you're saying, but a lot of those guys last year are out the door, or they're about to go out the door. So make it that what you will, right? Regardless, though, he does have no idea what will happen to players who may potentially not get moves if things don't materialize the right way. Because they have been in the bomb squad, they have been training away from the first team. It will be quite awkward, I guess, to reintroduce them. But we're still waiting to see what happens to your Sterlings, your Chilwells, plus a lot more. So let's watch the space. Let's see what happens. And to end with talk on the squad, he did say goodbye to Christo and Nkunku by revealing that Christo was a fantastic professional. He trained well all the time, but the only problem he faced was that he had Cole Palmer in front of him. So it made it hard for himself to get minutes. I hear that. A lot of times I like to kind of read between the lines as well. I've always felt like Christo was used out of position, which did not help him and his confidence after coming back from a long-term injury. And you're playing in an unfamiliar way, unfamiliar role. I find it interesting too that in the market, we are still looking for that fabled 8/10 profiler player. We know the reports currently around us set to secure Bionate on loan for the season. Part of me thinks, how was the squad off if we just kept Christo instead of making a loan move for a talented kid. He is talented, but again, it's another talented kid. And it wasn't like he was Leicester City's undoubted star that stole the show on a weekly basis. That's the only difference between like having the potential and quality that's needed right now, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a shame that it didn't really work out for Christo how he thought it may have. And it's funny because I think this season he would have cooked more because his role actually existed now in the team. But we've sold him for the money and we're looking to get maybe cheaper alternatives to play the same role. So there's that. And to end things with a final key point from the press conference, because most of it, my friends, was just on Lavia injuries, Cole Palmer injuries, Champions League return back to Italy. Wasn't too exciting. But Enzo Maresca was asked about Liam Delap and Joao Pedro. Could we expect to see them playing tomorrow? Now, this is where Maresca has to be coy, right? Because you're not going to give away your tactical plan in case Fulham have any ideas to prepare against you or do anything to kind of stop you. Absolutely not. You want to keep them guessing at all times, right? Like I was saying in my predicted lineup part of the video, a part of me did feel, okay, there's no Anthony Robinson. Maybe you want to hurt Fulham by really just hurting them out wide. Right, maybe Gittins, maybe Neto on the right, maybe Esteval floating in the 10, and Joao Pedro also playing a more false 9 role. But I guess that could be a potential solution Maresca turns to. I'd be surprised by that. I don't actually see that being the case. I think we're going to see something more traditional. But again, it's reassuring to know that we do have maybe, interesting options to turn to in case Cole Palmer's not about in that sense. I think we had it last season, but I think the only difference between last season and this season is that we have another striker. If Mark Yu wasn't injured at that time, I'd imagine he'd be playing in front of Christo at the time, up front. Again, we never know what could have materialized from that moment. But yeah, Liam Delap, Joao Pedro, I'm expecting to see these guys playing tomorrow against Fulham. So my friends, that is basically the preview done, but the final part to get out is my match prediction for tomorrow. I don't know why I'm feeling this, but I'm going for a 3-1 win. I feel like the game will be won in the second half. I think you're seeing that quite a bit at times. West Ham was a bit refreshing to see us take the lead so early, but I kind of feel like we're going to kind of steal the game in the last few moments. I think now that we have interesting players to turn to from the bench, the introduction of Gittins is pacing behind on the counter-attack, especially if we have like that 2-1 lead, which I think we may get, yeah? That's going to work in our favour. That's going to help, right? I also think that a striker is going to score tomorrow, for sure. And I think we're going to see another attacking player score. Fulham are going to be quite tricky. All the goals they've scored this season to earn their points have come from dead ball situations or come from crosses. They're very dangerous in those areas. We've paid the price against them literally last season in the same capacity. They're one of the strongest in the league from these types of moments. And I think they may take advantage from us, in tomorrow's game. But I just feel like we have options now that we can turn to, especially options off the bench that can help us maybe take games and leads away from the opposition. And I feel like, you could probably see us, having a 2-1 cagey game and then getting a counter-attack near the end to make it 3-1. So my friends, that's my preview out the ways. Share your thoughts and opinions. Share your predicted lineups. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on match day. Love. Cool.